So the thing is, what I've been seeing is there's been an increase in the number of news agency closures um, in 2025, and that's concerning. There's always going to be an adjustment to the number of rooftops in the channel, partly because we're seeing the decline in print and lotteries moving online. 44% of lottery purchases are now online, and newspapers are down about 12% this year, and magazines are down roughly 11% this year. So those cores for the news agency channel are difficult. And, um, you know, it's the more traditional news agencies that are the ones that are likely to close, the news agencies that haven't changed. And I mean, you guys, Tim, you've worked with news agents for probably close to 20 years
Yeah, yeah.
professionally. Justin, you were probably within 2 days of birth or 3 days of birth. Maybe that's a bit young, but you've been in news
Definitely
agencies
close.
all your life through the family businesses, and so I'm certainly concerned for the health of the channel. And so I just wanted to have a chat about, in your case, Tim, if you saw a business that was struggling, and looked like it closing might be the only option, what would you be looking at?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not really even a kind of new question. Like this has always been something, news agents come to us with. Like they want to grow the business, they want to improve it. I would say one of the first things I would suggest looking at is do they have any sort of loyalty or, reward scheme in place for customers? Like we've had so much good feedback on the discount vouchers, especially over the years. Turning those on, you can do it really quickly. It's giving your customers a reason to keep coming back to you. And yeah, look, I mean, off the cuff, I would say that's my first thing that I would look at.
It's interesting you mentioned discount vouchers. We didn't set up this conversation, but I was just looking the other day at a news agency actually, and they turned on discount vouchers about 12 months ago. And already in their case, they're getting 20% of the vouchers being redeemed. And they've seen sales increase to a value far more than what the vouchers cost them. So their argument is the vouchers easily pay for themselves and give us fresh energy for the business, which I think is the point you're making.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Justin, what about you? What if you were um, talking to a news agent and the business is in deep decline, they don't think they've got a future. What are you going to say they should do?
Yeah, well, obviously it's all about, finding new customers. So I would say if you're not online, go online. People, particularly in small towns, feel like they're pigeonholed with, what they can sell and how many customers they can sell to. But as soon as you open that up to online, you've got, the whole of Australia that you can sell product to that you thought you might not have sold previously in your business.
Yeah. One of the things that I see is they uh, retailers who think that closing is the only option. They're looking for a button they can press, a big solution, something that's going to solve everything, and an easy fix, I guess you might call it that. And I don't think there's an easy fix for the news agency channel. Um, but I think one of the options that they've got is to stop being a news agent,
Mm.
stop thinking of their business as being a news agency. I know a lady, she runs an awesome news agency in Western Australia. She was creating a website. She's going to run it out the back of a business selling high-end pet-related products. And this is a couple of years ago. I said to her, why out the back of the shop? And she said, oh, because my customers won't buy it. And I said, why not? She said, oh, they only buy cheap gifts. And
Mm.
I'm like, well, what sort of gifts do you have in the shop? Oh, cheap gifts. And I said, have you ever put anything like this in the shop? Oh, no, no, they wouldn't buy it. So you know where it's going. She put these, $200 and $300 items in her shop and
Yeah,
they sold.
yeah.
And she's like, I didn't know I had those customers.
Pet items.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you can
Yeah,
imagine like
crazy.
Coles and Bunnings and stuff, they wouldn't even say that sort of stuff.
no.
Their aisles now are full of pet stuff. And you think of Coles, they'd be like, oh no, people only buy groceries and whatnot. But yeah, I think any business can sell any product these days.
Well, the ABS tells us that a dog owner will spend on average $3,000 a year on their dog. And
Yeah.
a cat owner will spend around $2,000, maybe a little bit more each year on each cat they've got. And so pet owners absolutely spend a lot of money on their pets.
What did it say for bulldog owners? That'd be pretty up there, wouldn't it, Justin?
What, vet bills or actual?
Look, it's one of those things that pets are certainly very expensive, and providing opportunities in the pet space is an example. But if you think about the average news agency, um, one of the things that we've often seen, and I know the three of us have talked about it before, is dead stock.
Hmm.
Things that just don't sell. And it's kind of an adage of never let a product have a birthday. So if something hasn't sold for more than, say, 6 months, I should get rid of it. So Tim, how am I going to find out if something hasn't sold for 6 months?
Yeah, and look, that's a really good point. Like bringing new customers in is certainly good, and retaining them, having them spend more. But yeah, using the reporting, like you've got the insights dashboard in retailer, which is brilliant for highlighting those products you should be clearing out. You get a list of your, say, bottom 100 products. You can send those to a catalog, discount them down, clear them out, free up the space, claw back a bit of cash. A great way to keep things going.
And the opposite thing to that, I'll just add, is doing another report that gives you your, say, top 10 selling items and working out what sells well with those items as well. So I guess capitalizing on, what people are purchasing with certain products.
So I'll come to you first, Justin. If I look at that, what sells with what am I going to do about that?
Well, I mean, you would get a top 10, say top 10 selling
Yeah.
item report. You'd see, every, I don't know, second time I sell this product, this sells well with that. So you can sort of pick up on those trends. They might not be grouped together in store, so you can go and, put a couple of those products next to it. And as I said, sort of capitalize on those sales.
So one of the things that I would say in relation to that, if you think about the little squishy items, Nido and those sort of sensory items, one of the data insights we see from baskets, shopping baskets, is that with those items, people are far more likely to buy two or three of those at once rather than a single item. So it's an example of having those things item bunched together, and probably at the counter enables this sort of easy purchase to deepen the basket.
And even then put them on a promotion. If they do buy three, they get 10% off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, try and really encourage them to spend more.
So, Tim, to your point about the Insights dashboard, it's probably good to note also that the Insights dashboard in the news agency software is just sitting there gathering the data. You don't have to run anything. You literally click on it and say, what's working, what's not working, what am I missing out on? And the information's there and available for me straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, even further to that, like you can set up the end of shift now to send you the AI reporting on the end of shift. So if news agents are looking to get a better snapshot into what's happening in their business, turn on those tools and it will literally summarize what the data is showing AI. And
Yeah.
it's amazing what info that's coming back with.
So, I'm a news agent. You guys are, all of us, we're representing a software company. Why am I going to listen to you?
Good question. Look, there's no obligation to, but I mean, we've got experience. Like, we've been doing this since, as a company, 1981. We got, thousands of news agents using our software. Like, and then outside of that, we've got other industries. So, we hear a lot from customers on what's working and what's not.
And
Yeah.
Justin, why do you care about it?
Care about
News
care about
agents.
news agencies.
Yeah.
Well, as you said, I basically grew up in them. And further to Tim's point, like with Tower as a couple of news agencies themselves, basically all our staff members have either grown up in news agencies or done some sort of work in news agencies. So yeah, really close to the heart, I think.
Look, that's a nice corporate answer, and
Oh,
it's sweet. But but why do news agencies matter in Australia?
think well, any small business matters really.
It's also a very nice, broad answer. Look, I mean, news agents matter partly because um, they're the classic local high street shop. Um, they're the place where you can buy the card to tell someone how you feel about them, um, show your respect if somebody's passed away through a sympathy card, or celebrate a kid graduating primary school or high school. Um, so you've got this range of cards that you're not going to see anywhere else. You've got you've got magazines and papers for sure, but you've also got usually some pretty awesome gifts, including plenty of gifts that are worth a chunky amount of money. Um, and yeah, you're going to have a business that's owned locally, that's supporting local groups, that's very connected. And the funny thing is, if you go to a news agency today, and you guys have got them around where you each live, you're going into a shop that looks nothing like it would have looked 20 years ago. A shop that looks
Absolutely, yeah.
very, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim, you're not far from Lobethal, and that is one of the most stunning news agencies in Australia, I think. She
Yeah,
runs a fantastic business, and Lobethal's a small town.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's I'm not sure of its population, but yeah, absolutely a small town.
And what Gabby is doing there is running a shop that is just so beautiful, inspiring. It's not a news agency at all.
Yeah.
And Justin, if you think about on the Gold Coast, you've got some, you know, some struggling ones.
Yeah.
And then you've got some awesome ones where if you go with your kids, they're going to have so much fun in their shopping.
Oh, they do. Exactly. It's yeah, try and steer clear of them, to be honest. Purely just from a, cost point of view. But yeah, no, starting to walk into these days, as you said, it's gone to the days of, the whole front of the store being newspapers and lotto counters and all that sort of stuff. Now it's, awesome product and things that you actually want to see. So
Yeah. So a news agent calls you, they're struggling, and they don't know what to do. What do you say to them?
Yeah, look, a bunch of things. Like I said, we've got loyalty, like Justin said, the web side of things. They can save a ton of time with some of the facilities as well. If they're not using our AI tools at the moment for bringing stock in, that can absolutely help them reduce wages. Just, yeah, make the most of what we do.
mm.
Justin?
Look, I was also going to mention the AI stuff. Yeah, basically putting time back in their business and concentrating on other things in the software.
Yep.
Really good response to the AI tools, particularly the invoice import. Yeah, we've got customers, news agencies saving, 5 to 6 hours a week with that. So,
I'm going to be controversial and say they should stop being news agents. Stop thinking of themselves as that kind of traditional business. Because in our software, we've got a bunch of tools that enable them to do other things.
hmm,
They can leverage some of those tools um, to run businesses that don't look and feel like news agencies, but still at their core have papers and magazines and lotteries, but do these other things. And I think as a software company, that's where we can provide, some insights and guidance. Ultimately, the retailer has to do what they're going to do. But I think if you say to yourself, if you're in a news agency and you say to yourself, I have to stop thinking of myself as a news agent, and then that way the shackles come off.
hmm,
And I know it's cliche, but the world is your oyster in terms of what you do in the business.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's even though there are challenges for the channel, I think there are wonderful opportunities by being open to what it is you can possibly do.
Yeah, and that's a
absolutely.
good point. Like I would say the news agents we see these days that are having a lot of success, even with what they use in our software. Like we've got the traditional news agency facilities, but it's all the extra features that are really delivering benefit to them these days. And that seems to be where the focus is.
Are you using a Bic 4 color pen?
I'm using one, two, three. Like I literally have a little stack of them here.
Of Bic 4 color pens?
Yeah, they're my classic. Like I can't function without at least one of those on my
Can you
desk.
hold up that because you had three that you had
Oh,
then?
well, I mean, I know this wasn't planned, but like now I'm at five. Like I'm
Oh,
not.
that's why your
Sorry, you've got
local news
five of
agent.
those
Yeah, I
pens?
do. Yeah, I've actually got like just a little spot here where I keep them. Just I don't know why I have five. Like they've just kind of
So
multiplied, but
so let me tell you, I was at a shop in Japan, were they over there with some News Express stores looking at stationery because Japan's very advanced in terms of successful merchandising of stationery. And I kid you not, there was a shop that had an aisle, and the aisle was bloody long. And this aisle had pens and pencils that were these multicolored ones,
I
but it
know.
had over 100 different types of these pens and pencils that
I was
had
going to
different
say I
colors
need
on
to
them.
get there, but I probably don't because I'll still walk away with the classic.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it, like newsagents sell stationery as functional. Someone wants to buy a pen, they'll sell a pen. They want to buy a pad, they'll sell a pad. But I think there are people who will buy stationery because they love that particular stationery item, and it's almost like they can never have too many. And I think what you held up in your hand is an example of that type of customer.
Yeah, well, yep, that's me.
Is that why your local news agency's going so well? You just go in there
Yeah.
weekly and clear
One
clear
one
out
big
heaps of pens.
four pen at a time.
But I think that's interesting because, um, let's say you were at a counter and you're buying a birthday card for your wife or something, and you saw at the counter they had a small display of those multicolored pens,
Oh,
but they
I'd
were
buy one every day of the week. Like,
right. And
yeah,
that's the thing. For you, it's that impulse purchase.
yeah.
So, Justin, do you have a stationery item that's like that for you?
No,
Oh, I'm on the spot now.
I rely on supplier pens that they I'm not going to say the supplier, but freebies, I guess. So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
I know somebody who loves mechanical pencils, and they spent hundreds of dollars on mechanical pencils. And this is the thing. Um, here we are talking about product categories that newsagents sell. They sell as functional, but we're talking about them from an emotional perspective. And so Tim's buying his emotional support pens, which he'll happily buy.
Yeah,
And I think that's the shopper you want to tap into with this kind of stuff, I think. I think
Yeah.
that's where there's opportunity. I know we got off track. Uh, and Tim, next time if I am ever in that shop again in Tokyo, I will think of you. Truly, it was awesome. It was fantastic seeing the pens they had.
yeah.
Um, all
I'm
right.
going to reevaluate my life decisions now because I feel like now that I do have five of these on my desk, I am way too reliant on them. Maybe it's becoming an addiction.
No, look, here's the funny thing. Right now, I could name three other people I know in my life who love those specific pens.
Yeah.
It's a connecting thing. It kind of connects you with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a process for them. So, like, I take notes, and different colors have different representations within my notes. So, you know, manual, old school, handwritten. Yep.
Wow.
I haven't got on board with was it the Remarkable?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm still pen and paper.
There's a color version of this now.
Is there? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, that's a
I
story.
don't think Bick will let me do that. I think, yeah, someone from head office will probably contact me.
Yep. Speaking of contact, sales at towersystems.com.au and 1300 662 957 gets
Yeah.
people in front of both of you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's fair to say you'd love to help any newsagent you can.
Yeah,
Yeah, look,
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
can't
Phone's
promise we'll
always
help
on.
with. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
Thanks.
Thanks.